I just talked to Cheryl the week before, and we had this beautiful talk about how this is a first season show on network TV with 13 episodes. It's amazing to just be nominated and be in the room.
It seems crazy to say this now, but in network comedy, getting nominated is a throwback to a previous era of the Emmys. We're not used to seeing that.
Right.
You wanted this to be a network television show at a time when I feel a lot of creators maybe are going the other way.
I feel like my generation, millennials, started veering toward the cable and streaming space. And for one, I think they were pushed away from network for a while. There was just a misunderstanding between the previous generation and ours. But after so many creators went over and proved kind of like the value of our stories in network and streaming, it feels like now network kind of gets it, and thus something like Abbott Elementary is able to be born. And
my family watched television, obviously growing up was that way. And another thing that happened is you had a successful network television show, and again, it's another throwback. You did 13 your first season. You're doing a 22 episode season, which now, I mean, that was the norm, but that is an exception to the rule now for comedy. How has it been so far? Obviously, you're in the middle of it.
My mom and I were there to hear Quinta Brunson say that on September 19th. We got to be part of, I ordered tickets to be part of Seth Meyers' live studio audience on September 19th, and we sat in the back row in front of the show's editor, Chris Ryder. Learning how to enunciate those words is something they teach you at Abbott Elementary, and for that matter, any elementary school would teach you how to enunciate those words. Yeah, 3 years ago, Yana Varenson, my filmmaking teacher at Montgomery County Community College, told me that, you know, maybe my first movie could find a bigger audience on a streaming service like Netflix, or if it were a miniseries like Infinity Train. But you know, that hasn't aged very well, because I mean, in the 2010s, streaming services were the most popular place to watch films and television shows, especially when they had some of their own original content, except for when Netflix in 2020 had that French movie of which we do not speak, because it had bad kids in it doing dirty things. Yeah. I'm very glad that Quinta Brunson, or Quinta Brunson, however you want to pronounce her name, tried to gain an audience with regular old network television, because Abbott Elementary was really helped to add more variety to modern comedies on broadcast network television. And Quinta Brunson was prepared for mainstream audiences to watch network television again a year before the big HBOmax purge. I'm sure you've heard about that, right? You know, I mean, it was bad enough that Netflix lost subscribers by changing the rules so that you can't share passwords with other people or another household, and then they also laid off or fired a lot of Netflix animators because they didn't believe in animation. But it's even worse over HBOmax, because Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't have all the money it needs to pay residuals for the films and television shows that get watched less and that get watched less. See, I really need Quinta Brunson to teach me proper grammar and pronunciation of these words. And HBOmax thought it could save money in the short run, but it's losing even more money in the long run because HBOmax deleting original streaming content proves that streaming services can't be trusted anymore. And Quinta Brunson may have anticipated that a year ahead of time when she started filming Abbott Elementary, and she wanted to air it on ABC. And she struck a really good bargaining deal with Warner Brothers to air it on ABC instead of HBO Max. I'll tell you that for nothing. But yeah, HBO Max deleting its own original streaming content that was already there, as well as not showing stuff that was already completed but never got to see the light of day, like Batgirl and Scoob Holiday Haunt, has really started an unprecedented crisis among streaming services, both for the people that pay to stream things on them and for the people who run other streaming services. So I'm very proud of Quinta Brunson for finding an old reliable audience in network television from a new generation of viewers. You know, the next generation that comes after the generation that viewed Friends, that Friends met with you in Seinfeld. And I'm also very proud of Quinta Brunson and the Warner Brothers producers who distributed her show to ABC instead of HBO Max, for preparing themselves for the HBO Max purge a year ahead of time. Because I really am going to miss streaming Infinity Train and Close Enough on HBO Max, and other people who watched them there even loads more than I did are going to miss them even more for sure. And you're right. I'll talk about this a lot more on October 1st, you know, when the 30th anniversary of Quintel comes along. But yeah, it's a very bad sign when a company doesn't have enough money to maintain things to keep up original streaming content. I mean, I'm used to streaming deals with other things that weren't original to have streaming service expiring all the time, but why would a streaming service haphazardly delete original streaming content so no one can watch it again unless they buy DVDs or recorded it to preserve on YouTube or watch cartoons online? This could be the biggest tax fraud conspiracy of the 21st century, or at least in the entertainment industry, which I will also go into more on October 1st. But for the time being, I really am looking forward to Quinta Brunson's second season of Abbott Elementary, because I love the first season, and I'm also very proud of Quinta Brunson for sticking to her guns by not making an Abbott Elementary episode about them, because that subject matter is too dark for a light comedy like Abbott Elementary. If you really want to deal with the problem of mass murders in schools, deal with these problems in real life. Don't ask Quinn to give you entertainment to deal with it. Quinta Brunson doesn't want to make an Abbott Elementary episode about school shootings any more than the Mindy Kaling wanted to make an episode of the Mindy Project about abortion, which is why an officer and the gynecologist, the episode that tackled birth control was the closest she got to that. Quinta Brunson also doesn't want to make a special episode about school shootings any more than Ian Jones-Quartey would want to make an OKKO episode about KO wearing a white pointy wizard hat and accidentally accidentally turn into OKKKO, which would surely frighten Radicles and Enid's parents. I mean, her mom is dark-skinned and a vampire at the same time. Both things that KKKers would want to burn at the stake or impale with a stake. So yeah, that would be, it would be much too dark for OKKO to be heroes to have an episode titled OKKKO, Let's Be Villains. Because just like the other case I mentioned with Abbott Elementary not having school shootings, that subject matter is way too dark for a light comedy like OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, or Abbott Elementary to deal with it properly. And Quinta Brunson and Jones-Quartey know they shouldn't go there because not every show can tackle every sensitive subject matter, right? Hey, you know, if Abbott Elementary needs a new character several seasons in, I think it would be super funny if Kelsey Abbott, you know, the same Kelsey Abbott from 12 Forever and the Community episode where she played Abbott's Annie. If Kelsey, it'd be funny. I think it'd be kind of funny if Kelsey Abbott got to be a new teacher at Abbott Elementary because of her last name. That would be very nice if someone introduced Quinta Brunson to Kelsey Abbott, just like how, you know, on September 19th, you know, during Seth Meyers' Q&A session, I kind of introduced him to Quinta. I kind of introduced Seth Meyers to Desiree Birch, and he said he doesn't know her, but he is interested in interviewing her after I told him that she was a Comedy Central UK comedian a comedian you may have seen on Comedy Central UK who moved to London from New York City, where Seth Meyers is. Well, that's all, folks. I hope you like Abbott Elementary as much as I do, and I definitely believe Quinta Brunson made the right choice by reaching out to a broadcast network television audience. What are your thoughts?